Hello. Have you played Wingspan? No, I don't know what that is. I do not know. It is a board game. I don't play board games, mostly. I used to go to board game nights with friends, but, you know, there weren't any girls there and stuff. It's a strategy one. I mean, I'm just not that into board games. I do not drink coffee, no. I do not drink coffee. Coffee is not my thing. Not sure. There's a thing I want to do here. And trying to figure out something to do. What is my thing? Video games. Video games and board games are not the same thing, and it annoys me when people act like they are. They're very, very, very different. When I said coffee is not my thing, oh, video games. Actually, that's not really true. I don't like most video games. So, GG's. GG's. Trying to figure out what's the best way to organize data in the meta program. So right now we have this thing that dates back to the very earliest days of messaging to the user level program, where we put these things in declarations, and your meta program can see the declarations and all that. And the problem is it's confusing to people, and I want to make it clearer. Because there are two classes of things that go in declarations. One of those is actual declarations, which is like an identifier that has maybe a thing in the type slot, maybe not, and something in the expression slot. And that is a particular thing. But there's another kind of thing that just kind of got shoehorned into the declarations. And that was like other major expressions that you might want to know about, like struct declarations or procedures, right? And so I was thinking I would have some category called like major expressions and put that stuff in there. But maybe what we need to do is just have a thing like for procedures and whatnot. Right? Like we could have an array down here of like, oh, here are procedures and here are structs and so forth. However, this is weird too, because like this thing is not going to be set. Like this is confusing to people because this is only going to be set for like major declarations that come in here, but it's not going to be set if you like find a declaration in the middle of some stuff. Like in the middle of a procedure or whatever. So I think I actually we could introduce okay, I have two tactics I could do. I could make one struct called like a major expression, right? And it could have a pointer to the declaration or whatever else. Or, well, and then you iterate over that one thing and you see what type of it the thing is, right? Or maybe I just break it into multiple arrays depending on what type it is. And then there's a major type for each of those. And then you don't have to cast as much. So like that would look like the following. Like there's a thing called a major declaration. And that's actually got this thing. And it's got that. Now, this would be kind of silly because like these would like be the same. So really, we could do something like this. Right? And then we could say, declarations is an array of, I mean, it wouldn't even have to be a pointer at this point. It could be code type checked of code declaration, right? But this isn't even user level code, so we could just say this. And we could say procedures, right? And structs. And then the good thing about this is that gets this out of this declaration stuff. And so that won't confuse people, right? Like this would get deleted. I don't want to delete it yet because that'll break the build. I mean, this will already probably break the build, but so I could do this. This is one way of doing it. Version A is this. And then if you just want to look at procedures, you could iterate over that, right? Okay, version B is that you just get like majors is an array of type checked expression. And type checked expression, this is like, instead of type checked expression, let's just call it this. And then here, this would not have a parameter. And this would have a code node, and then you get to check what it is in cast. Okay, so this is much more terse. However, you get the annoying casting, and like you can't just iterate over the procedures and not think about it, right? Now that said, with this version, like, yeah, I don't know. With this version, if you wanted to iterate over absolutely everything and check for some expression, you'd have to do it on 3 arrays, but maybe that's not that bad. From a tooling perspective where you want to go to definition, the way the currently group makes some amount of sense. Separate arrays seems more cumbersome. But do you see what I'm saying about, like, there's a lot of confusion about, like, people don't understand the current thing. You might understand it because you've probably done more with this particular thing than anyone else. But I think most people don't understand what's happening. Because there's like this, because there's two kinds of declaration that come in the messaging, right? We could have version A actually have this, right? So that these are redundant with this. And that actually wouldn't even be much more expensive because we could just point these into the memory from here. Oh, you don't understand it either? Okay, great. There are a lot of people trying to use that to get good statistics. You mean like about the program and stuff? I haven't been following too closely what people are doing. I just know what I have in mind. So we're starting to build out, as the core compiler gets more and more finished, we're starting to set our eyes on tools and stuff. So like the UI libraries that you saw me start over the past month or two is part of that. We did memory debugging tooling that right now is just command line, or not command line, but like text output logging kind of stuff. But we, of course, want to build more elaborate tools around that. I don't know. So I'm just trying to make this, better. It needs docs. Yeah, but like the thing is, I don't want to document the confusing thing if I don't think that it should be confusing. Okay, you know what? I kind of like this one because it gives the most choice. It's like both. It's like, look, if we want everything, we'll just look at everything. And if I only care about a particular thing, it's very easy to iterate over that. And then, yeah. Now this is going to break fucking everything, including the default metaprogram, I think. So that's fun. Okay, so I think we're going to do this version. Is it cumbersome to tell what kind of code node it is? It's not cumbersome because you have to look at the type. So, but there is a little bit of information loss, and that is the following thing. Okay, there's a few things that are currently confusing. One is there are two different things that show up in declaration, and some of them are actually declarations and some are not. Another thing that's confusing is the declarations that show up at top level like this have this thing set so that you can use it, but other declarations randomly in the code do not have this set, and that's confusing. But then the third thing is what are the kinds of things that can show up as these dummy declarations with identifiers that are null? Well, you don't even know, right? Like what kinds of things could show up? I don't know. And so if we put them in here, we still have that question. What kinds of things could be in this array? Like, I don't know. So, well, yeah, I don't know. So at least if I publish them as separate arrays and I say these are the kinds of things that could be in here and only these things are in here, and this is just the union of all these for convenience if you want to look at everything. That's something that it makes it more clear. It's something that people could understand, because the problem, or one of the problems with the current thing is it's just really invisible. And when people work with it, they're just kind of guessing what it is. And of course, documentation would help with that. But again, like docs on something complicated, it's still complicated and people end up guessing. I don't want people to end up guessing. Like I don't want this to be like fucking JavaScript. You know what I mean? Couldn't you make custom iterators to operate on top of the all array to filter out stuff dynamically? I mean, sure, but why should anyone have to think about that? Like usually if I'm writing a metaprogram, it's like, I want to look at all the declarations that have blah, 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 right? Or, like I want to look for the function named foo, right? Or I want to look over all my procedures because I want to find the one that looks like this and modify it, right? People want to do specific things, and letting them do those specific things is good without having to think about it. There's no point in writing docs while it's still taking form. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why I didn't really write the docs before. The thing is, we want to write docs at some point. I mean, there's over 100 people in the beta now, and whereas certainly not all those people are active, like I was actually surprised. So like for beta 70, the one that went out like earlier this week, I just checked after a day or two how many people had downloaded it, and it was like, I think it was at least 40 or 50 people. I mean, I stopped counting exactly, and some entries show up multiple times due to like HTTP GET kind of stuff, but just eyeballing it, it was like 40 to 50 people downloaded it within 2 days. So like people are actively using the thing in decent numbers relative to how many people are even registered, right? So, at some point, you're causing a lot of friction or I would be causing a lot of friction for people by not documenting. And so I guess that's why I want to bump this forward toward a thing that's clearer for people. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot enum here. So I like this because it makes very explicit what you're going to see in a message. There's also this question because part of the reason this became an idea in the messaging anyway is because internally to the compiler, the way the out-of-order compilation works is that before you could ever see a procedure in a declaration, we build that procedure separately, right, behind the scenes. And like when that procedure becomes available, it's like, well, maybe we want to show it to your program. Well, if you want to modify all procedures or inspect all procedures for errors or something, you actually can't do that by looking at declarations and really be correct because there could be anonymous procedures in this programming language, right? And so, so we kind of have to give you the procedure anyway. Okay, I'm going to delete this. This stream could be a disaster as everything breaks. But there we go. Declaration, procedure, struct, enum. And I want to put another, because we might even change this based on what we see. Okay, so the default metaprogram is not even going to build right now. And then the compiler is out of date. Like all this stuff, it's a disaster. Okay. I'm going to delete this. I'm just going to call this expression. In name A equals B, this is A. All right. See, that's already more clear for people what the fuck these slots mean. We'll even put semicolons. Okay. So I need to go. The very first thing I should do is make the compiler's internal data structures match this, because that, if you get that wrong, it's life is pain. So let's make life not be pain. There it is. All right, so this thing is going to go away. And this will make much more sense to people, like, because some of those, you look at that and you're like, what does that have to do with a declaration? Especially, maybe you're a little bit new to thinking about syntax trees. You don't even know what the fuck a declaration is. And then you're like, what, you know? Okay, so all of this is actually makes sense in the context of a declaration now. So I like that. Okay, so this type checked we're going to get rid of. And there we go. Okay. So declaration now doesn't have that. Now we need to do this. We need a type checked enum. Actually, no. We're not gonna strongly type these on our side. We're just gonna go we're just gonna do that. And we're gonna put this out here. We'll also put this away from the code nodes. Great. I mean, I could put this in here. Should I put this in there, or is that a pain in the butt? I don't actually know. Maybe it's fine. Okay, that's a minor question. All right, so that matches, but now this thing doesn't necessarily match. Message type checked. Okay, so we have all procedures, structs, and enums. So that's great. And I'm going to change the name of this because I don't want it to match the old name, because I want every piece of code that manipulated the old version to not compile until I change it all, right? So again, this is something that like JavaScript doesn't give you the power to do. Opinion on functional programming. Why are you asking me that? That's my opinion. This is the interface for compile time, code gen, custom plugin checks. Yes, it's this is how your meta program knows what your program looks like, and it could use that however it wants. It could use that to generate code. It could use that to check your code. It could use that to call Russia and launch the nukes. It could do whatever it wants, right? Okay. So see, even in the yeah, this is only for verbose that we look at this. Oh, but we do error checking, right? Okay. So here, oh, yeah, okay. So we actually want this. So let me go change that. We messed up our formatting, man. And this also makes clear to people, like, look, procedure headers and bodies flow through separately. Okay. Okay. But that makes code like this. So this is our thing that does the standard error checking that we ship, which mostly just looks at print functions. So instead of this, we could say for header tc dot, okay, dot, it's not really, So here's the thing is that this gives you a type checked, right? For tc dot procedure headers, then what do you get? Well, you say header is it dot expression, and then you do whatever you wanted, right? So it's actually, you can write, for something specific like this, you can just write a much tighter loop, right? And then for this, for tc.procedure bodies, header is, or body is it.expression. And like, you don't have to do the cast. There you go. So like, that looks nicer to me. Like, I like this better. If you wanted to iterate together, just use it index. No. Okay. This is actually something that we have to explain. It is not the case that these two things are the same length. What's going on is, so, you know, if you know C or C++, right, the way those languages work is you have stuff in headers files, right? Those header files say what the type of the procedure is, and then if you include that, then you can use that procedure, but you don't have to see the body of the procedure to use it. You just have to see the header, right? That's also how this compiler works internally. I mean, but not exactly as a namespace issue, more as an implementation issue, right? So in order to compile your procedure, we do the header first, and then that shows up in here. And later when we're able to do the body, we do the body and it shows up here, but that might be much later in a totally different message, right? It could come in like, well, it only takes a second to compile. So it could come in a whole 100 milliseconds later or something, right? But people who are going to call that function don't need to wait for the body to be ready, right? So here's there are some invariants provided. Yeah, I think I can write some comments in here that'll help people. There are invariants provided by the compiler. So for example, before you ever see, or contemporaneously with, where you will ever see any procedure that calls another one, you'll see the header for that callee in here, right? So if you're trying to like set up some processing, like say you wanted to put all functions or procedures into a hash table and do something with it, you could put it in the hash table or make the hash table entry when you see the header, and then you know when people call it that that's guaranteed to exist, right? Like you don't have to guess if it's the first time that I saw this thing or whatever, right? So there's just guarantees that the compiler gives you that nobody actually knows about right now because it's too hidden. Is there a way to correlate a procedure header with a procedure body? Yeah, the body actually points at the header. These are, let's make sure those are the names. Yeah, yep. Let me show you the body. Yeah, so the body has the pointer to the header, which is easy. It does not work in the opposite direction. So the header does not have the pointer to the body. Yeah, I mean, we might fill it in later, actually, which is a thing we do to be helpful. Maybe I took that, yeah. So when you first see the header, this is probably null, but then it gets filled out later on for your convenience. I'm not really sure if that's really a good thing to do, but anyway, it's what I do right now. Yeah, but that goes there. Okay, so what do I call the first... is it actually default? Yeah. Is this actually what I run when you start the compiler? I guess so. I guess so. Maybe. Okay. Let's just try to get the compiler compiling, which is going to take some time because we changed some things. Look at all these things. Look at all these windows. It's like I'm using Microsoft Windows. There's so many windows. Microsoft, get help with File Explorer. Thank you. Does the procedure body point to the generic version of a template or at the baked version? It points to the baked, well, okay. If you're looking at the body of the generic version, it points at the generic header. And if you're looking at the body of a baked version, it points at the baked header. And the baked header tells you that it came from the generic one. Can you have multiple bodies for a single header? No. No. Well, if that happens, the compiler's broken. Well, except, okay, there is an exception to that, which is that if you modify the body and resubmit it, it'll come back around, and then you'll see it again. Do you get access to the globals, e.g. all procedure bodies processed to date? No. If you want to look at procedure bodies later, just save somewhere what came in this message. You can, like, this is a compile time program. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can have whatever data structures you want. You love when your compiler compiles? Well, honestly, most compilers these days do not do a whole lot of compiling for how long they take to do it. Maybe they're doing too much compiling, if you know what I mean. Is there a way to set a flag on it so when you see it again, you don't process it? We set a flag on it that says it's already modified. I think we export that to you. Maybe we don't. Maybe we should do that. I think, so we have one internally. I think if you wanted to do that, you would keep a hash table right now of procedure bodies that you've already seen. Is this Go? No, this language is called OG. Okay. I kind of could use some warm Bengal spice tea. I think I got sick yesterday. I hope it's not like really minor COVID, but I've had a little bit of headache and fever today. Not too bad. Not out of the range of what I often get, so, which is why I don't think it's necessarily anything bad, but like I'm in a little bit of a weird space right now. Why do you need to use atomics or another synchronizing mechanism? So the thing is, there's two things. One, depending on your architecture, you're not necessarily guaranteed that that won't be a torn read because it's getting updated at a different time, right? And so like on x64, I believe you're guaranteed that the entire cache line happens at once. And assuming these are aligned, which they are, they don't cross cache lines, right? But who knows, right? Otherwise. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is if somebody changes something on another core, right, that is supposed to invalidate your view of that memory. But the amount of time that that will take if you're only reading the memory is not... I mean, again, like the limit on how long that takes depends on your CPU, really, right? And also your compiler. Like, keep in mind your compiler sort of has its own data cache in a weird sense, right? Like, in the sense that it tries to optimize by not reading things multiple times. And so you don't really know when you're going to see that value. I hope I feel better. Yeah. I don't feel too bad. It's just I'm a little punchy right now. I already shipped a compiler beta today. And then I was looking at the changelog and I realized, like, oh yeah. So there was something that one of the newer people on the compiler team who contributes stuff, he fixed some stuff that highlighted the fact for me that this is weird. And I was looking at the changelog and I was like, oh, I kind of want to do this because I don't want to have this intermediate thing where this other thing is fixed, but that might cause problems for people. But then I was like, you know what? This is going to be a big disruptive change. So fuck it. We're just going to break it into two betas. So the next beta might be only this change. And who knows? We might even ship it tonight again to have two betas in one day. Just because this is such a big change for people who do metaprogram stuff. For people who don't do metaprogram stuff, they're not going to care at all. Yeah, we've got some good things coming down the pipe in terms of the vcompiler. We've got some good action. Okay, any questions? Any other questions? I'm going to warm up some tea water. And then, well, let's hit compile on the compiler and watch it not build, right? There's going to be a bunch of compile errors. So this is because I changed all these things. So next, it's my job to make this compile. And that'll involve changing some code, etc. How is perf of the compiler coming along? It's been approximately level. Because the next big perf thing is parallelizing more of the compiler, right? And parallelizing more of the compiler involves here. Let me continue this answer after I start the water. So parallelizing more of the compiler involves doing structural changes to the compiler that reduce data couplings, right? And so I've been doing some of that, but when I do that, it doesn't really make the compiler faster because it's more like prep for something that'll make the compiler faster later, right? But in fact, it might make the compiler slower. So one thing that I did was I took a couple of pointers off of some base entity type and I made a big ass hash table that one of the subsystems uses, and that decouples the things. But now there's this hash table happening that didn't happen before. And I would bet that slowed us down a little bit. It's on my to-do list to look at that and maybe actually try to make it a net win, because most things don't actually need to be in that hash table. And if I can make that happen, then it might be a net win because our syntax tree nodes would have gotten smaller and our hash table usage would go way down. And so, but for the most part, I'm not working directly on perf right now. Perf is it's in this middle ground where we're less than 10x away from our final performance goal, and we're not even parallel yet. So we should be able to get our final performance goal of 1 million lines per second just by parallelizing the compiler the rest of the way. So that's kind of what that project is. What is the protocol for slightly off topic? Let's do the fully on topic, and then we can do your slightly off topic question. Any other fully on topic questions? Can you search a procedure body for the types that are used in the procedure? Yes. So that's what this thing is. In the typed checked. Okay, you could do it two ways. One thing you could do is you could start at the root node of the procedure body, which will be a block of statements. And you could recursively visit that tree and see all the nodes. But also we flatten that for you right now. I might take this out, actually. But this sub-expressions here is in linear dependency order, every expression. So you don't actually have to do a recursive visit. You can just do a for loop over this. That said, for that level, we could just do a for expansion for code node that just does some recursive shit now. We didn't used to have that capability. So let me think about that. Let me get the tea going. I have my fine Mugenics mug, which was a dead game, but I hear they have resurrected it and are working on it. would this compile time custom code gen be capable of generating compute shader code from regular functions? Yes. Yes, it would. It sort of just depends, though, like you need to know how to map everything. Like, we haven't written that module for you, right? So if you wrote that, you would just have to know how to translate everything. But I've toyed around with the idea of doing a simple version of that, actually, for SIMP, which is our simple graphics library that we give people. I've toyed around with the idea of giving people, because we want the API to be very simple and very platform independent. And right now, if you want to write a pixel shader, it's really complicated and annoying, and you have to think about a lot of things, and it's very implementation dependent, right? So in SIMP right now, we just have a few simple draw modes where you say, like, draw a texture with alpha blend, right? Or just draw vertex color. And we just hard code whatever happens there for each platform. But one way of making that more versatile is just letting you write a function that does some math, and then we convert that to whatever the backend's pixel shader is. And that would be very simple and very portable. And we would just complain if you did something we didn't understand. And so if you get a compile error, then you know you need to change it. And if you don't, then it works everywhere. So I kind of want to do that sometime. CPU, GPU interfacing is really irritating. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, any other super on-topic questions? Are we set up for live code editing situations? I don't know what you mean. Are there plans to be able to interact with the metadata for a program via an API FFI? I mean, you can make that right now if you want. Maybe they're asking about function pointer, dynamic loading, linking stuff. We don't have like a default output mode that does that, but you can do anything here that you can do with a C compiler in terms of dynamic libraries and whatever. So again, you could just make that happen. It's like, it's not going to be harder here than in C. It's going to be much easier here than in C. What devices can you compile this for, and what devices can you run binaries on right now? None, because you don't have the beta. When you say parallelize further, can I tell what is already parallel? So parsing is parallel, and like the messaging system is parallel, but everything else is serial. So The things that we could parallelize and it wouldn't be too hard are bytecode generation and machine code generation. But those are also not the most expensive things, although they're starting to be significant. So parallelizing those is probably a win still. But the slowest part of the compiler is the type checking, and that's also the hardest thing to parallelize. Okay, what was the not totally on topic question? Is there a message that gets generated once everything is known? Yes, there is. Well, there is. Are we successfully built for other targets like ARM WASM? Ignacio did an ARM target for a console platform a long time ago, but we haven't really been using it. We want to bring that back sometime soon. I think someone asked about Steam Deck. Is Steam Deck ARM or is it like an Intel Atom or something? I haven't even paid attention. It's an AMD X64 CPU in that little thing? Okay. Okay, that's cool. Apu, isn't Apu a character who got canceled from The Simpsons? The Simpsons? I guess The Symptoms is really what that is. Steam Deck might save Linux. I mean, Steambox might save Linux, and before that, Steam Machines might save Linux, or does it go the other way around? It's not like Valve hasn't released a Linux gaming PC before. So, I don't know how it's going to go. Also, if the quality of this is around Steam controller quality, it's not going to be that good. But maybe they learned from Steam controller and it'll be a lot better. People love handhelds. That's true. That's true. It might be a much more, definitely it seems to me people were pretty excited by this announcement. So I hope it goes well. Steam machines should have been only one hardware released at the same time as new consoles. I agree. Their wacky plan was not the right plan. I know why they did it. I think I know why they did it. And I don't agree with their philosophy at all. All right. So okay, so this is the thing. This is actually going to clean up several things. So compiler modify procedure takes a declaration, which we actually don't really want that to be. So we have to map this to this. So instead, modify procedure. Make procedure live. Wow, we had that. Okay. Code procedure body as its argument rather than code declaration, and then compiler make procedure live. That's going to take header, I guess. Let's figure that out. Okay, so anyway. So we're going to say code procedure body, and that code body, code procedure body of whatever. And that lets us get rid of some checking. Okay, great. That just simplifies that, I think. So the other function was make procedure live. And we're probably going to look for a header. Yeah. So this is the same. Did I delete? No. Okay. So in the make procedure live, this is header is code procedure header, whatever. And we just made some gains. That's great. Okay. Root expression. What is this? Compiler get nodes with takes a code argument. Woof. Okay, this is going to be break again later, because this export queued is not going to return a declaration anymore. Oh, it's going to break now. How do you get the language structures like declarations and such back into the language for the metaprogram? Do the compiler and the language just agree on a binary of the structs? No. There is a well-defined layout for things, but it's different from the compiler's internal layout. So it just translates. Okay. So, the problem is I want to return this by value? Question mark. And I don't know if I currently have a way to return big values from here. This is a thing where I might have a way to do it, but I'm forgetting. I could just put an assert false in here, right? So we have right. So first of all, we need our internal version of this, right? So we have that. We can go back here, and I can say we're going to do that, and then we're just going to punt on this right now. Actually, no. We could do this. We can just dereference it. Wait, expressions array. Oh yeah, we just knew it right there. Yeah, that's not so great, but anyway, we're just going to do that. Okay, never mind. So we need to change the declaration of export queued. To that. And that's going to make a whole new raft. And then instead of testing the Boolean, we'll do that. Even more compile error. Oh. Wait, we had one? Like literally, what? Am I so punchy that I typed it right next to the other one? It's literally right here. Great. Okay. We got a whole new batch of stuff. Okay. Okay. here is where I'm like not in the mood to do any of this, but here we go. All right, so decals, what do we want decals to have? Flush deferred exports and send messages. Okay, so this is where we make the message, right? And so this is where we want to say, hey, here's the procedure headers and the bodies and the enums and all that stuff. Now, the question is, do I collect it in a big grab bag array like I'm doing right now, except instead of decals, it'll be type checks or whatever. And then do I sort it and break it up down here? Or do I collect it broken up? I kind of feel like there's an opportunity here to be a little bit more memory efficient. Because we kind of have this declarations array and then we grow it. And this is one of these auto resizing arrays that, it doubles in size and stuff, and that can waste memory. So do I prefer MSVC to Clang for C++ stuff? I do not care about C++. I do not want to think about C++. C++ can jump off a cliff. Okay. Like everything is bad at compiling C++ because it's a really bad programming language. Like why do I care what is the least crappy tasting poop popsicle? Like I just put up with the poop popsicles until I don't have to anymore. That's all. Okay. Well, what is this sanity decal? I think we just comment this out for now. We just delete these. And if we want a sanity check, we reinstate it later. Okay, so the picture that's happening in my head is instead of having this thing called decals, we'll have a struct that's actually on message exporter that's like the staged information. And it's just going to have some persistent arrays. And then we'll copy the data out when we're done, question mark. So like we could have an array of procedure headers, array of procedure bodies, all that stuff. And then based on the type of what we export, we put it in those corresponding arrays. And then yeah, we just add up the sum of everything in all the arrays, and we allocate an output array that's exactly that large. That holds the message data, and then we put the things in. Yeah, okay. So here, I'm going to say switch it expression type. All right. Oh, we already have, yeah. And then I need to think about this cues that are ready. Like what is the deal with airplane food there? So this is, if it's a declaration, we do this complicated skip stuff. All right. Barack Obama. So what is cues that are ready? Oh, that's just, yeah. That's just so that we know who to wake up when the message is done being handled by the meta program. So that's good. If we use Clang to compile our compiler, we might get a performance boost just from that. Yes, but it also might phone Russia and launch the nukes. So fuck those guys. I don't want the compiler to phone Russia and launch the nukes. Does Clang have more UB problems? Yes. Absolutely. The people involved with UB on all those compilers are complete jackasses, unfortunately. Nikita. Are we headed more for Brave New World or 1984? I mean, given the news of the past week, sure seems like we're headed for 1984 and people can't wait to get there. So, GG's. It's very weird. The America that I grew up in was all about free speech, and we were taught in elementary school how important it was to have free speech and how many people had gone to war and died to protect those freedoms. And like, everybody's just now like, fuck it. Fuck it, because some guy with a muff hat and horns got let into the Capitol by police, so we need to not have free speech anymore. Like, what? What is even happening? Good things don't last forever. Apparently not. They could last longer. Yeah, they could. It's not looking likely at this rate, unfortunately. It's so weird too, because like, look, you know, again, left-wing people have their preferred candidate in office. So they're not pushing back on any of this stuff. And it's like, guys, just 6 months ago, a dude who you thought was practically Hitler was president, right? Clearly that can happen again. What happens in 2024 if you lose that election and that guy takes all these censorship powers that you've now given him and actually does some Hitler shit with it? Like, people's brains don't even go that far. They just don't, right? It's crazy. You don't know if Joe is preferred? Dude, the media slobbers all over Joe Biden so hard it's embarrassing. Because they hated Trump so much. Which is weird because Trump made them all their money. It's a very weird, messed up situation. All right. So, let's get back to programming. Let's continue programming while we still have the ability to do so. Because God only knows how long it's going to be before they live edit Twitch streams to keep you from hearing things that you shouldn't hear. Yeah, you still hear about Trump all the time in the media. That's how embarrassing it is. Oh my God. All right. Live edit Twitch stream that replaces me with a deep fake. Yeah, I'm going to have like the Code Miko Twitch stream, but it'll be me. We'll see how well that goes. Okay. So, yeah, I'm kind of not in the mood to do this anymore, but this is what you do when you're programming is you just start putting in the work. Maybe I'll just leave it untied tonight and finish it in the morning when I wake up with fresh energy. But like, I'm just going to put in the bulk of some of the work now to get this toward where it's going. And I'm not even going to think that hard about it because when you've been programming for as long as I have, you just type shit. Right? Okay. So here, we're going to get rid of these. I'm going to put these in the header file in a second. We're going to, actually we could do this now. I'll put these private, even though we always end up regretting that. So we're going to say staged. We're going to have one of these for each thing, right? So it's going to be procedure headers, e-headers, staged procedure bodies, staged structs and enums. Is that everything? Yes. And it's very easy if we want to add one or two things to this list. It's easy to add them. Okay, so this is procedure header. Okay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, great. And you're going to say staged cues. Boom. Okay, so we're going to have that. And we do that here. Let's do that outside the lock. It's going to be very simple. Yeah. So reset just clears the count on these. So let's write that function. Very simple. Okay, there we go. So then, based on, we don't actually want these to be, I done messed this up. These are actually going to be, wait. The reason I'm undoing this is because these are type checked structs. Okay. Okay. Like that. They were a little bit type erased. So we get declarations, headers, bodies, structs, enums, and cues are all in parallel arrays. Not parallel arrays. They're just in arrays. They're in different arrays. What else have I got to say about that? Not much. Okay, so we reset the staged data. And then, based on what happens, we say, well, if it's I think we call this lambda. I should standardize that terminology. Ast struct, ast enum, and default, bravely default. All right, so this is staged declarations. This is staged procedure headers. This is staged procedure bodies. This is staged structs. This is staged enums. And don't export whatever this is. Okay, great. So we do that. And then this flush deferred exports and send messages. Fuck. Because that flush deferred exports adds stuff to this array, which is going to want to do all this again. So we're going to want to factor this out, I think. Into a thing. Let's verify that that's what it does. So when we call flush deferred exports on there, just what do we do with decals? Yeah, if we decide not to defer this thing anymore, then we do this. Okay, so we say stage we do that. Okay. So we're going to get rid of decals here. Dang it. Let's just say that. So this is going to return bool. And if we ever add anything, let's call it progress. Right, stage progress is true. And we return progress. Okay, because it's C++, we have to do everything twice. So we have to do all this again. We have to do this again. We have to do this again. All right. Now, I need to do this function staged. Did I remove reset stage data? I did, didn't I? So we do this again. And then we say stage type checked and queued. Okay. And we're going to do all of this. Okay. And actually, we don't need the queueds either, right? Because that's just in the staged. Yeah, and okay. We didn't even use that. Or maybe we did and I just deleted it. I don't know. Um, Okay. We'll look at that later. I'm a little confused by what happened there, but it might be just that I deleted the appropriate thing. Okay, so here, okay, this assertion was there. So we do this, and we do that, and we might as well, whoops, we might as well put that at the top. Oh, yeah, okay. Let's do this. It's just nice to have a short name. And we delete this again because, again, it's C++ and it sucks. All right. Who knows how much more grunt work there is to do? C++ has two pluses because you do everything twice. I had not thought of that. I had not thought of that. All right, so, well, we have some errors in the importer, but we're working on the exporter, so we'll ignore those. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Let's do it this way. Okay, root expression. So this is export queued, and we actually want to return something else. Type checked result. I just want to see if we default this. Yeah, okay. Okay, so this is a different overload. Okay, result.expression, if it's a declaration, dummy declaration. Yeah, that's not good. So we export the notes onto it's not the right place to do this because we do not have a thing for notes. Which actually is fine, question mark. I think people will look on the procedure. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay. So all this goes away. Okay. I don't know why I need to set flattened nodes if it's already there. Oh, because it's a dest. Yeah, okay. So on the type checked, okay. What is... How is that okay? That's very weird. Like reset doesn't... Oh, no, never mind. Yeah, okay. I was thinking like, oh, we're trying to steal the memory, but we're not. We're letting this grow to whatever size, and then we're doing the copy here. Okay. So result.data is dest, but it's not result.count and result.data. It is result dot subexpressions dot. Okay, great. Exported, we don't know what that is. It's in fact the TC. Great. Boom. Aha. Ha ha. Result. Da, da, da. dot. Oh, this is sub-expressions. Okay. So, yeah, that's redundant. This does that. I forgot. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. Yeah, we don't want this. We want exported. Okay. Oh, why is it not? Emacs does not like this, which maybe means punctuation is wrong. Oh. Oh, that already modified flag that somebody was asking about is on the declaration flags. We'll put that in stage. We have other result error now. So if it's a body, we're going to say auto auto body is static cast code procedure body tc.expression assert body type possessed lambda body and result or body see, the thing is, in principle, this flag should be for something more general, but the only thing you can modify right now is procedure bodies by design. So we're just gonna do this. All right, that's one more thing that's broken. This is why, because like this is one of those things where it just spirals out and there's tons and tons of just grunt work to do. And it's at night and I kind of want to take a break, but I'm just shooting through it. A lot of it. We won't get this all the way working tonight probably, but it just means it's that much closer when I sit down tomorrow, right? So I called this code body already modified, right? So that's a flag we're going to introduce, and we're going to say U32 body flags is 0, and then in the user facing struct. So we're going to remove this declaration. Oh yeah, that's another flag that doesn't make sense for almost any declaration. So it's great to actually take that off there because it'll reduce confusion for the people, right? Okay, so the body here, there we go. Okay. So great. Okay, let's fix this. This deferred export. Going to get rid of these. And of course now that oh, we don't need to set those. Oh, this is the sending the message part, which I guess we could do that now. 250. So here we want to basically set all these fields here. So equals staged whatever, right? And okay. All right, so we have declarations, we have procedure headers, procedure bodies, we have structs, and we have enums. Whoops. Okay. So oh, yeah, okay. Okay, no, we actually have to do this now because we don't have memory for this, and this memory is going to get reset. Okay, so we're going to say array type checked all, and we're going to say all dot reserve all count, which is something we will compute. In a second. So we're going to say for staged declarations, all count dot add it. Speed can make a routine that does this per whole array at once. Maybe it already exists. Mably are declarations. So okay, headers, bodies, structs, and enums. Whoops, not all count. Okay. We're going to say all count plus equals staged whatever dot count. All right. Same game plan. Whoops, not structs, declarations. Enums. All right. Boom, 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 boom. So we figure out how much memory we need. We reserve it. We copy all the dudes. And, okay. So now we don't actually want to put these in. We want to put in the things that point at the right memory. All right. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say message declarations is all declarations dot count equals staged declarations dot count. So auto S64 cursor is 0. All right. So the first N are the declarations. I could do this a different way. So if I do this, all right. Okay. Oh, no, we can't do this. See, I was going to sneak these in between here. Oh, we can, because we reserved, must reserve so that the memory does not move in between, because we use the pointer. I don't want to explain that better right now. My brain isn't doing it. Okay, so auto old data is all.data, just so we can ensure later it did not move. And down here we're going to say assert all.data is old data. Make sure we reserved correctly so that the array data did not move. So when you write code like this, basically what's going on is I'm going to be using the data pointer and putting it in here, but then that pointer will move if these things resize. But we don't want it to resize anyway because we know how much there is. We're using this auto resizing data structure, but we don't actually want it to resize. So when you write code like this, add the little bit extra to make sure it's doing the right thing. Because even if it does the right thing when you program it initially, someone could come along and add another output array here, which we're likely to want to do. And they maybe don't add it to everywhere that it needs to be, and then it's not doing the right thing anymore. You don't want things that break silently like that, right? You want it to definitely be correct. What are you guys? I've read two misinformations in a row. One person says static uses less memory and sits in heap, and the next person says static is on the stack. Both of those are incorrect, guys. It has too many meanings, but those aren't any of the meanings. You can't. Yes, correct. Static is in the data section, always. Even if it looks like it's on the stack, it is in the data section. That is what static means when you declare a variable like that. Static is in the data section. Oh my God. The Biden administration is going to censor your disinformation campaign about static. You're going to get a call. Your text messages are going to get intercepted. And you're going to get warned about things. You also can't call static functions from other files. Yeah, but that's a totally different meaning of static. It is true that static means different things, and that's a bad move on C's part. You're thinking of Aloka. Yeah. Aloka is kind of not really the opposite of static, but kind of. Or Alec A. You're just quoting the experts. I'm the one spreading disinformation. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what it already is. Imagine how bad, if people let them do this, imagine how bad it's going to get. All right. What we have today is just where it starts. This is just where it starts before people go nuts. C++ added its own meaning for static methods. Yeah, but it's kind of the same meaning. Like a static data member is in the data section. Similarly, a static, like if you understand the implementation, it makes sense why those are static. Okay, I was in the middle of a thing. I was converting this to work like this. So that I could do like this. All right. And then I don't need this cursor. And this is dot data and dot count. We're going to need five more spaces. Okay. So this is something I could easily mess up, but if that happens, we fix it in post. This formatting is not going to look so good when we do this like this, but fine. So this is again that and that. Okay. Stage procedure headers, stage procedure bodies. This really looks more messy. So I actually don't know if I like this as much as I would have liked it the other way around, but like this kind of looks typolicious in here. But the reason we're doing it is so that we can just peel off this data pointer at the right time. I mean, we could... We could break off the counts and write them separately. I don't know if that's worth it. Anyway. Okay. So that's something. Hopefully I didn't mess that up too bad. Dude, C++ has the most useless error messages. So this is a code node. And that's kind. Oh, we never did all count. Did I? Wait, no, I did. Okay. Okay, now what? Declarations is not a member of compiler. What? What? Oh. Let's just scan for more declarations. I think this is the part that I needed to hit. So I'm gonna call that. Okay. All right, let's just say let's just do this. Let's just call this base, and all your base are belong to us. And then we can make this look less ugly because this becomes base. Okay. Root expression. Wait, what? Oh, we're looking at the wrong file. Let's just go do that. I don't know what to do about that. That's for later, maybe. I don't know what to do about that. Okay, we got all the importers gone. So that's still not going to work, I don't think. Type checked to U8 star. U8 star. U8 star. Init asked skip export dummy declaration. What was that for? What was that for? We literally don't use, oh, we probably use it outside. Nope. We literally do not use it. Okay. Great. This is sub expressions. Okay. Okay, this wants to change. Okay, 1641. Num flattened nodes. Oh yeah. So okay. Okay. Cannot convert argument 1 from declaration. Why does that have a declaration? That's not right. And also that. Wait. No. Well, that file compiled. So, hey, I didn't actually expect to get tonight to the point where the compiler compiles again, but that's actually the power of just sitting down and spinning up the grinding wheel. I expected to have to wake up tomorrow morning and work for at least an hour to get here, and that's not necessary. Now, that said, it's probably not going to work, right? If I hit the compile button, bad things are going to happen. Oh, but maybe not that bad. Wow. Okay. Let's just take a look. This is just user error. We probably didn't get to the point of sending messages yet, honestly. Okay, so if is print like, we're passing a decal, which isn't really good. Fuck. Okay, this is already messed up because we put these notes on the declaration. This is one of these longer standing issues about like, what do we do with notes to make them easier for people to place them places, right? So right now we have these notes on the declaration, which is actually, not that it means you couldn't have an anonymous print like, which maybe you don't want that. I don't know. But it also, it's just, this is one of those things that's also a little bit inconvenient and confusing simply because it dates back to the earlier days of the compiler, which means we will want to change that at some point, but we're not going to change it now. We're just going to say, we're just going to do something here, right? Do a little something. So hopefully we have fucking notes on the header. If not, we need to put them there. I know we have them. That's on declaration. Struct. We don't have them on the header. So what I'm going to do for now is just go ahead and put the notes array here, but we're not going to fill it out yet, I don't think. And we'll figure out what to do with that later. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to check this in with that behavior, but I'm at least reminding myself that that is a thing to think about later by typing that note. Okay. So we need to have a notes array here. And we're just going to put it there. And again, we're not going to fill it out. We're just doing that so that the empty data is there. Hopefully I didn't just, no. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. Again, this is good. Yeah. So we don't actually need this. Okay. Check print calls. I think what we're going to want to do is pass one of those. Oh, no, we're going to want to pass a body. No. So the reason, yeah, we're passing this because this is what has all the sub-expressions array on it. Okay. Wait, we're looking for... Hold on, we have a call. We have the procedure expression. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is weird. I think that was a redundant check right there, because this wouldn't have returned true otherwise. Okay, yeah, this got refactored at some point, and it's not really... Yeah, so this is just header here. Okay. All right. Now we get to where we expected to get to, which is that things are crashing. It's crashing in isPrint-like, which probably, I mean, maybe I just wrote some wrong code there, or quite probably the compiler is passing it some garbage data that is garbage. So now we start the part that could be painful, could be not that painful. Who knows? Let me take a 5-minute brain break. I'll make a little bit more Bengal spice tea. Does anyone have questions about what we're doing or programming generally, or maybe even game design, but probably programming? Do I see any room for tooling to help programmers get a rough sense of large amounts of code quickly? Of course. Of course. What do I think that could look like? I don't know. But yes, very important. Why did I choose to do GPU text rasterizing for the witness? I didn't. Where did you get that incorrect information? Is there a way to bubble up compiler level errors versus user level one? I don't understand the question. Can you be more specific, or maybe not more specific, but can you try to explain in a different way what you're asking? Because I don't know what you mean by bubble up compiler level errors. How much do we use metaprograms? A lot, but not too much. Do we have default argument assignments? What year do you think this is? Read what I wrote and read the thing it's in reply to. Read the tweet. Read the English words in the tweet. a special snoring piece chamomile tea that Casey got me a while back. And I'm just going to have that. How is code flow messaged? How hard would it be to check if there is a break in a while true? That is very easy. Do I think a good goal for game design is to focus on experiences which you can only get through the game itself? I mean, I don't know why else you would be making video games. Like, again, if you just want to tell a story about a guy with low self-esteem who's a loser, you could do that in any medium. And most other media would be better than a game. Just looking at the error on the screen, it says it may be a bug in the user's program. What's the plan once the beta is shipped if it's a compiler? This message changes if we think it's definitely a compiler error. Like, it already has a thing. What's my favorite type of snack? I don't even know. There's so many snacks in the world. Peppermint chocolate is pretty good. Okay. Well, we can at least look at what is happening here. Actually, we want this, actually. Yeah, so even compiling a much smaller, simpler program, it dies. Which means, of course, the default metaprogram is crashing, which, you know, I expect that at this point. Okay, so we're doing a string compare. Which probably means the names are garbage. Yeah, so A is an integer. It's an ASCII character. And B is a string. So that's not good. Yeah. So it's right here. It's looking at the notes. That's pretty weird because that notes array is supposed to be empty. Oh, wait. What? Why is it not empty? Well, the header itself might not be a header. So let's check that. Yeah, that is not. So we are getting called from do error checking line 39. Oh. Well, There we go. Remember that whole thing that I did about the headers and stuff? It is not correct. So we're going to need to debug that. And we'll just start by looking at it. Oh, this is totally wrong. Dang it. We do this after. Lol. Okay. So we set the thing to the before, we set the count, we add the things. Okay. That is more correct. We'll see. We'll run debug. Okay. So again, it's in the same place. But this header, really? Really? It doesn't assert. Well, it's uninitialized. I guess we need to clear that, probably. Or sorry, notes.data is null. We're gonna put the actual notes in there before we ship this. All right. Interesting. It's totally wrong. What is going on? Maybe we messed up, and by we I mean me. Maybe I messed up where I put the things. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. Lawler coaster. Lawler coaster. There we go. Okay, so now we have an assertion inside the compiler, but that's not really surprising. Gotta get rid of this. All right, let's try a release just because it won't assert on us for now. Okay, well, no surprise. If our sleep yielding is messed up, no surprise. I'm kind of going to leave it there for tonight, I think. I am fine with that on a Saturday night when I don't really want to feel like working super hard because I'm still a little bit sick, I guess. We've done it 2.5 hours. of decent work. And this really is, I mean, I think this is the majority of the work needed to do this change. It's a pretty big change structurally and in terms of how people will interface with metaprogramming stuff. And I think it's all for the good. We'll see. It's experimental. I suspect that what's going on here, I had this no check-in that I put, no check, not that one, this one. This is sus to me. I think so what I think was we were letting the queued through to compile before, which seems wrong to me. Like, I feel like in rewriting this, I found a conceptual bug, maybe. Oh, no, not really, because... No? Yeah. I don't know. I think I found a conceptual bug in the way things were set up. And I think this is right, but this is another thing where I want to sleep on it and just let my subconscious be prepared to think about this, and then I'll look at it tomorrow. But when I typed this, I was like, wait, this is different than what it was before, but I think this is right. And I think the other one is wrong. But there might be a reason why the other one was right and this is wrong. Either way, I should, once I figure out how it should be, I should comment it, right? To explain, because anytime that you get confused about it, it's like, okay, yeah, let's figure it out, right? And make it so that we don't, like, anytime you forget a piece of information once, like if that was right and this is wrong, then I did that on purpose when I did it, but I didn't say why, because maybe it didn't strike me that it would be unintuitive later, but now it is unintuitive. So like anytime you see that, you want to put that information in the program, because otherwise, after you get hit by a bus, nobody else will understand, and then civilization will collapse. Why would sleep be asserting? That's not a normal sleep. That's like a certain thing that we do. That is a way of helping to manage the nonlinear compilation in the compiler. And what it's saying is, like we're trying to sleep something and it's already supposed to be sleeping. So like, why are we trying to sleep it? And so then it's not really a surprise that if we ignore that assert that we get circular dependencies, because circular dependencies can happen if things sleep and never wake up, then they'll never compile, right? So, you know, there's something like that going on there. Any questions before I end the stream? Before I end the stream. Do you hope to see an open beta by the next 2 years? Probably. I don't have a specific date in mind right now. But at some point, it's time to open it up, right? At some point. Although maybe it'll just be like, we'll sell compiler tickets as NFTs, and each one will have a funny bitmap on it of a different mass garbage procedurally generated little robot character dude. And you see that every time you compile your program, and you know that you own it. How many documented data races there are? That one's probably fixed. It's just I'm not sure. There's only a few that we know of. And they're going to go away naturally because, like I said, part of what we're doing is restructuring the compiler to thread it. And that's totally fine. And the data races can be benign. Sometimes we're not sure if they're benign or not, right? But that, part of the restructuring is to eliminate all of those. Other questions? Questions? No? Yes, no, yes, no? Yes, no? On topic questions. I'm not seeing questions, so I'm going to end the stream. Thank you, everybody, for coming by. We'll do some more programming soon. Someday. Are there 100x engineers? Of course. There are Infinity X engineers.